Young and the Restless next week. Kyle's party shock stuns Victor. Alright, so at the end of this week we've got Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott's party starting, and Victor gives her yet another present. It's not a necklace. It's not a music box. It is the key to a fully restored Ferrari that she has wanted since she was a teenager. Now, if this was soap operas in the 80s, we'd get to see her driving around in that Ferrari, but it's 2025. We're not going to see them spend that kind of money. But Nikki's excited and Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, can't wait to drive the car. So, they head over to the party, but before they go, Nick hands over these black envelopes that he found at the gate with their names on them. Victor doesn't want to mess with them. He wants to get over to Nikki's party and says, "We'll do it later. Tonight's about the wife." Kyle Abbott's bold move to win over Victor Newman. So Kyle is actually at the party even before Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, is. Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, is there. Party planner Pro Pietro Jai Rodriguez is there. All that good stuff. So Kyle has already warned his dad, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, to play nice with Victor tonight. Not that Jack is ever the problem, you know. But despite Kyle Abbott thinking it is totally a lost cause to try and get Victor to approve of him being with Claire, he promised her that he'll try. And it does seem Kyle may be doing something big and extra and dramatic. We'll see. Before Claire shows up though, her mom, Victoria, who is definitely on Team Kyle, and asks Kyle how he feels about Claire's plan to try and get Victor to accept him. And I will say that Kyle's pragmatic. He's a realist. He tells Victoria he doesn't think anything is going to change Victor's mind. But Kyle also tells Victoria he is going to give it his best shot. Will Kyle propose to Claire at Nikki Newman's party? YandR spoilers. So it'll be next week when we see Claire looking quite lovely when she arrives at the party. And Kyle wants Claire to save a dance for him. She's ready to save them all for him. And Kyle says he has got one more move to try and sway Victor. So, you got to ask yourself, what move does Kyle think he could make to get Victor to change his mind? So, I'm wondering if Kyle decides to propose to Claire at the party next week in front of everybody. Because right now, maybe Kyle thinks that Victor Newman isn't taking him seriously because he doesn't think that Kyle is taking Claire seriously. You know, maybe Victor thinks Kyle is being really casual about Claire and Victor doesn't want her just shacking up with Kyle shacking up with any guy. But we're talking about an Abbott. YandR spoilers. Kyle makes a grand gesture? So maybe Kyle's making a grand gesture at Nikki's party, and could be we see Kyle talking about how much he loves Claire, and Kyle says Claire's his soulmate. We have heard him say before he's never been around or been seeing a woman like her, which was kind of insulting to Summer Newman, Allison Lanier. But he said it. So maybe Kyle's going to say, "This is my soulmate. Claire changed my life." And maybe Kyle says he wants to marry her. Pulls out a ring. We'll see. I am guessing that Claire would probably want to say yes if Kyle proposes, but no way would Victor be convinced. And if Kyle does propose, I could see Victor making a whole scene and telling Claire no before she gets a chance to answer. We'll see. Maybe he does something else. Maybe he just has a really good gift for Nikki. But I'm cheering for a proposal just because I know it'll piss Victor off the most. And of course, if Kyle does propose, you know, Claire and Victoria and Nikki would all swoon at the romance of it, but not her grandpa. Young and the Restless spoilers. Mystery man Dumas invites Genoa City elite to France. Also, at the end of this week, all the movers and shakers in town got invitations from Mystery man Dumas. He's throwing a private party at his place in the south of France on Friday, June 13th. Invitation only. Between now and then, we'll see if Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, gets her meeting in D.C. So, invitations went out to Damian Kane, Jermaine Rivers and Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, to Victor and Nikki, to Michael Baldwin, Christian LeBlanc, and Lauren Fenmore, Tracy Bregman, to Jack and Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, among others. And it also looks like Billy got an invitation, although his was not shown on the Friday episode. Billy Abbott's trip to France causes drama with Sally Spectra on Young and the Restless. So next week's spoilers have Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, very concerned when Billy tells her that she and the company mean everything to him, but that's just him trying to get out of trouble. Sally's upset at Billy, and she's clapping back about him leaving the country at the most critical time for Abbott Communications. Sally Spectra and Billy are set to launch AbbottCom, I think next week, maybe a week after. It's coming up soon. They're planning the party, but Billy insists that he has to find out what Dumas has planned for his family. And just based on Sally's reaction, it seems like Billy also gets an invite and is definitely going. And Sally should expect that since Billy's been trying to get a meeting for quite a while. But it also sounds like he didn't get a +1 since he's not asking her to go. Or maybe he just wants her to stay in Genoa City and keep working. Unmasking the mystery man. Who is Dumas on YandR? Looks like we will get the mystery man's identity in just 10 episodes. His party is on Friday, June 13th. So that's every episode next week, and then another 5. So 10. Based on another hint that they have given this week about the location of the party in France, I continue to speculate this is recast Kane Ashby sending out the invitations. But at least we know when all this nonsense is going to be done, and we get a name and a face. Amy Lewis health journey and big decision on Young and the Restless. Also next week, Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, and Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, spend time with Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford. With her cancer treatments going well, Nate encourages Amy to keep that upbeat attitude, and she's feeling more positive by the day and tells Nate and Audra that she has made a decision. Now, Amy Lewis already agreed that she would move in with Damien when he asked, and he told his mom he decided to stay in Genoa City. Maybe it's about that. We'll see. Unless they've decided to get rid of the character, and she's going to move closer to her doctors. Who knows? Hopefully Amy's health news stays positive when we find out her cancer is in remission soon. She definitely wants to be close to Damien, Nate, and Audra. And Amy and Audra have that whole kind of mother-daughter vibe going, which is good since Nate's girlfriend fell out with her own family, and she doesn't really have a lot of people in her life. Wrapping up Young and the Restless spoilers, proposals, parties, and predictions. So wait to see if Kyle's grand gesture to try and sway Victor is a romantic public proposal to Claire, or just a very thoughtful gift for Nikki. I'm hoping it's the proposal. I also expect Victor to pitch a fit at the party no matter what. And we could see the mustache gearing up for another fit of outrage when he and Nikki open their invitations after the party that they got from the mystery man. Things heat up on Young and the Restless next week. Be sure to check out our full weekly spoilers video tomorrow for the week of June 2nd. City is about to get rocked like never before as the Young and the Restless ramps up the drama next week. The spotlight is on Kyle Abbott, whose extravagant party is about to become the epicenter of scandal, rivalry, and jaw-dropping revelations. Fans are buzzing about what's coming, and Victor Newman himself may not survive the shock waiting for him. Kyle, often seen as the more level-headed Abbott, is ready to step out of the shadows of his family's legacy and prove he can play in the big leagues. His meticulously planned party, set in the lavish Abbott mansion, is meant to be a celebration of his recent successes in the business world. But, as always in Genoa City, a celebration quickly turns into a battlefield. Kyle's event promises glittering lights, high-profile guests, and a music lineup that has the elite of the city buzzing. Yet underneath the glamorous facade, tension simmers. Victor Newman, ever the patriarch and master manipulator, has his suspicions. The media mogul doesn't like surprises, especially ones that Kyle is orchestrating. Word spreads that Victor has his eye on the guest list, and is determined to assert control before the night even begins. But Victor's timing might be off. Kyle has been quietly preparing a move that could unsettle Victor like never before, and those closest to the Newman-Abbott feud are bracing for the fallout. As the party begins, Kyle's friends and allies arrive, from Summer Newman, who has been navigating her own stormy relationships, to Phyllis Summers, who knows how to read a room and stir the pot. There's a palpable buzz in the air. Everyone senses that tonight isn't just about celebration, it's about power. Kyle is confident, almost cocky, as he greets his guests, but a hint of nervous excitement betrays that he knows something big is about to unfold. Meanwhile, Victor arrives, looking every bit the commanding force he is known to be. He surveys the room with his usual intensity, his eyes landing on Kyle with a mixture of pride, suspicion, and protective instinct. He's curious. How did Kyle manage to pull off such an impressive event without him knowing every detail? Victor's pride in his Abbott son is mingled with a sharp edge of apprehension. Something is definitely happening tonight that might catch him off guard. The night heats up as the music pumps, champagne flows, and the party's energy escalates. Kyle takes the stage for a brief toast, thanking his friends, colleagues, and family, but there's a gleam in his eye that suggests he's about to drop a bombshell. He subtly signals to someone behind the crowd, and suddenly, all eyes turn to the entrance. The lights dim, and the murmurs of the crowd crescendo. Enter the surprise guest, none other than a figure from Victor's past. A person whose presence alone has the power to unravel secrets and ignite long-buried rivalries. Victor freezes, his face pale, a rare crack in his usually unshakable demeanor. Gasps ripple through the party as everyone realizes the stakes just got higher than anyone anticipated. Kyle watches from the sidelines, a satisfied smirk on his face. This was his plan all along. To challenge Victor, shake up the status quo, and show that he isn't just a kid in the family business anymore. As Victor confronts the surprise guest, the tension is palpable. Whispers fly through the crowd. Could this person be an old ally of Victor's? Or someone with a vendetta? The implications are enormous, and Victor's usually commanding presence is threatened by the emotions this reunion sparks. Kyle's eyes never leave Victor, knowing he's hit the mark. The party, meant to celebrate success, has now turned into a strategic battlefield. Meanwhile, other storylines intersect. Summer Newman finds herself pulled into a private corner with someone who holds key information about recent corporate maneuvers, and Phyllis Summers notices subtle cues that hint at romantic tension and possibly betrayal. In Genoa City, nothing is ever simple. Every glance, every whisper could be the seed of a scandal. Kyle's party, with its sparkling lights and carefully curated atmosphere, is now a pressure cooker of secrets ready to explode. Victor, though initially stunned, quickly regains his composure. He isn't one to be outmaneuvered easily, yet he can feel the winds of change. Kyle's audacious plan has shifted the power dynamics in the room, and Victor realizes that he must respond. But how? Every choice carries weight. One misstep could empower Kyle beyond his intentions, or worse, expose vulnerabilities Victor thought long buried. The party becomes a chessboard, with Victor and Kyle as the primary players, and the guests as pawns in a high-stakes game of strategy, deception, and influence. As the night unfolds, whispers and rumors spiral. Some guests suspect a corporate coup, others a family scandal, and a few even suspect a secret romance poised to shake the foundations of the Newman-Abbott legacy. Kyle's brilliance lies not just in the execution of the party, but in the timing of his reveal. The drama escalates as the music softens, the lights focus, and all attention turns to the pivotal moment Kyle has been orchestrating behind the scenes. Suddenly, an unexpected announcement halts the festivities. Kyle, seizing the spotlight, reveals a bold decision, something that challenges Victor's authority and shakes the business world. Gasps fill the room, phones flash as guests record the moment, and Victor is left momentarily speechless. It's a turning point, not just for the night, but for the power struggle that has long defined the relationship between Victor and the Abbott family. Kyle isn't just a party host, he's a strategist, a player in his own right, and he's about to demonstrate that he's ready to claim his place in Genoa City's high-stakes landscape. Meanwhile, chaos erupts in the background. Security intervenes when tensions between certain guests boil over. Long-standing rivalries resurface, secrets are whispered into ears that weren't meant to hear them, and a few unexpected confrontations threaten to derail the evening entirely. Amid all this, Kyle maintains his composure, proving to everyone, including Victor, that he's fully prepared to take the reins when the old guard falters. By the end of the night, Victor, though visibly shaken, recognizes that Kyle's boldness may be exactly what the Abbott-Newman dynamic needs to evolve. It's a rare moment of acknowledgement from a man used to being in total control. Kyle's party, initially intended as a celebration, has become a defining moment, a demonstration of ambition, intelligence, and audacity. The ramifications will ripple through Genoa City, setting the stage for new alliances, rivalries, and dramatic confrontations in the weeks to come. Next week on The Young and the Restless, viewers can expect a storm of emotions, power plays, and shocking twists that will keep everyone glued to their screens. Kyle's party isn't just an event, it's a masterclass in drama, strategy, and spectacle. Victor Newman, though formidable, is reminded that the city's future is never fully in his control, and Kyle Abbott is making sure everyone knows it. Genoa City fans, brace yourselves. The Abbott-Newman saga just reached a fever pitch, and Kyle's shocking moves promise that nothing will ever be the same again. One party has changed everything, and the fallout will be felt for months. Secrets will surface, alliances will be tested, and Victor will be forced to reckon with a truth he may not be ready to face. Genoa City was buzzing with tension, the air thick with anticipation as Kyle Abbott strode into Newman Enterprises with a sense of purpose that even his closest allies hadn't seen before. For weeks, the family drama had escalated to new heights. Victor Newman's trust was fragile, his patience thinner than ever, and Kyle knew that one wrong move could cost him more than just a business opportunity. Yet he had a plan, a bold, calculated move that could finally earn him the respect of the man who seemed untouchable in both power and influence. Kyle had watched Victor from the sidelines for years. He knew the Newmans' inner workings, the delicate balance between loyalty and betrayal, and the ruthless precision with which Victor evaluated those who came close to him. But what Kyle also knew was that Victor respected courage and ingenuity, two qualities Kyle was determined to showcase. It wasn't just about proving himself in the boardroom. It was about showing Victor that he wasn't a reckless playboy or a pawn in someone else's game. He was a man capable of thinking strategically, even in the most volatile situations. The opportunity came sooner than Kyle expected. Newman Enterprises was on the verge of a critical merger, one that could redefine Genoa City's corporate landscape. But there was a complication. A rival company was making aggressive moves, attempting to outmaneuver Newman Enterprises with an underhanded acquisition strategy. Kyle had spent nights poring over financial reports, market analyses, and insider information. He discovered a flaw, a tiny loophole in the rival's contract that could be leveraged to Newman's advantage. With a mix of excitement and nerves, Kyle requested a private meeting with Victor. Walking into Victor's office, he felt the weight of his father-in-law's legendary gaze. Victor leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, a skeptical eyebrow raised. "Kyle," he said, his voice calm but laced with that unmistakable undertone of authority. "What brings you here with that look of determination?" Kyle took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "Victor, I know things haven't always been smooth between us. I get that I don't have your trust yet. But I've been analyzing the market, the merger, and I found an opportunity that could turn the tables completely in our favor." Victor's eyes narrowed, studying Kyle like a seasoned chess player evaluating a new piece. "Go on," he said, his tone challenging but not dismissive. Kyle spread the documents across Victor's mahogany desk, explaining the loophole, the potential risks, and most importantly, the strategic advantage it offered. He outlined a plan that required precision timing, careful negotiation, and a willingness to take calculated risks. Each point was backed by data, projections, and a contingency plan that demonstrated Kyle's thoroughness. By the time Kyle finished, the office was silent except for the faint hum of the city outside. Victor leaned back, steepling his fingers, his expression inscrutable. Kyle held his breath, knowing that this moment could define the trajectory of his relationship with one of the most powerful men in Genoa City. After what felt like an eternity, Victor spoke. "You've done your homework," he said slowly, a rare trace of approval in his tone. "Most people your age would have panicked, made impulsive decisions, or ignored the details. But you actually understand the game." Kyle allowed himself a small, controlled smile. "I'm not here to play games, Victor. I want to be someone you can rely on, not just in business but in the bigger picture." Victor studied him for a moment longer, then nodded. "All right, Abbott. I'll give you the chance to prove yourself. But understand this, if this backfires, there's no cushion for mistakes. You're either all in or nothing." Kyle's response was immediate and confident. "I'm all in." The next few days were a whirlwind. Kyle worked closely with Newman Enterprises' legal and financial teams, executing his plan with meticulous precision. Every call, every negotiation, every meeting was orchestrated to maximize impact while minimizing exposure. Yet the tension never left him. He knew Victor was watching every move, evaluating his judgment, his loyalty, and his ability to handle pressure. When the rival company finally attempted to finalize their acquisition, Kyle's strategy sprang into action. The loophole he had discovered allowed Newman Enterprises to challenge the contract effectively, forcing the rival to back down. The boardroom erupted in controlled chaos as Victor executed the final maneuver, cementing Newman Enterprises' advantage. And through it all, Kyle stood by, calm, composed, and ready to step in wherever needed. Later, in the quiet of Victor's office, the aftermath of the victory hung in the air. Victor poured himself a glass of scotch, his expression unreadable, before finally addressing Kyle. "I'll admit, Abbott, I didn't think you had it in you. But you just proved me wrong. You've got guts, intelligence, and most importantly, the ability to act under pressure. That's something I respect." Kyle felt a surge of pride, but he knew better than to let it show too openly. "Thank you, Victor. That means a lot coming from you." Victor set the glass down, leaning forward slightly. "But don't think this makes everything easy. Trust isn't given, it's earned day by day, decision by decision. You've taken a step in the right direction, but the real test? That's still ahead of you." Kyle nodded, accepting the challenge. "I understand, and I'm ready for it." Outside the office, the city hummed with life, oblivious to the power plays unfolding within the walls of Newman Enterprises. Kyle Abbott had taken a bold step, not just in business, but in his personal journey to win the respect of Victor Newman. He had risked scrutiny, potential failure, and even his own reputation to make a statement. That he was a force to be reckoned with, capable of thinking strategically, acting decisively, and standing tall in the face of formidable opposition. But Kyle knew that earning Victor's trust was only the beginning. There would be more challenges, more tests, more moments when his resolve would be questioned. The Newman legacy was not easily won, and Victor's approval was never guaranteed. Yet for the first time, Kyle felt a sense of alignment, a rare connection with a man who had always been both a mentor and a relentless critic. As he left the office, documents in hand, Kyle couldn't help but smile at the thought of what was to come. He had made his move, and it had worked. But in Genoa City, nothing stayed simple for long. Allies could turn into adversaries, and victories could be fleeting. Kyle knew that the road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. He was no longer just an abbot trying to find his place. He was a player in his own right, ready to face the challenges that awaited him, and determined to prove, every step of the way, that he had what it took to earn the ultimate respect of Victor Newman. And somewhere deep inside, Kyle knew that this was only the beginning. The bold move he had made was not just a win in business, it was a statement. A promise that he was here to stay, not just as a figurehead, but as a man capable of bold, decisive action. In the treacherous world of Genoa City, that was exactly what set him behind the Santa Barbara hills as Genoa City's elite began arriving at the Grand Phoenix for Nicky Newman's lavish soiree. The one party every year that truly mattered. Crystal chandeliers gleamed through towering glass doors. Lawn fountains whispered against a backdrop of laughter, clinking champagne flutes, and the distant hum of a string quartet. But this year, beneath the glamour and sparkle, two hearts were quietly bracing for life's biggest leap: Kyle Abbott and Claire Grace. Kyle pulled up in his sleek black Cadillac, eyes scanning the crowd for the woman who had changed everything. He felt the same inexplicable flutter now, even after months together, that first struck him when Claire stepped into crimson lights with that confident stride and breezy smile. She had been a breath of fresh air, a surprise amid the chaos of Newman-Abbott family intrigue. And now as Claire descended the party's ivory steps in a shimmering emerald gown, Kyle knew tonight wasn't just another social event. Tonight could change his life forever. Inside, Nicky Newman stood at the heart of it all, radiant in diamonds and a knowing smile. Beneath her poised exterior, Nicky buzzed with maternal intuition. She had seen Kyle and Claire grow close in the past months, watched them navigate every twist from meddling relatives to unpredictable business drama, and Nicky suspected something monumental was about to happen. It was the kind of moment you felt in your bones, a collision of hope, fear, and the promise of forever. Claire stepped into the garden's open-air courtyard, the soft glow of twinkling lights dancing in her hair. She scanned the crowd, cheeks warming when her eyes met Kyle's. Tonight was special, she could feel it. Ever since Victor Newman raised an eyebrow at her over coffee, yes, that eyebrow, she had wondered what fate might deliver next. But nothing in her wildest imaginings had prepared her for the weight of Kyle's gaze when he saw her standing there. "Kyle!" Claire greeted him, radiant as ever, her voice carrying that mix of excitement and calm she seemed to master so effortlessly. "Claire," he said, breath uneven, not from nerves but from a dawning certainty. "You look incredible." She laughed lightly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "So do you. But are you okay? You look like you're about to announce something big." Kyle smiled, eyes twinkling with something Claire had never seen before, resolve. "I just wanted to make sure you got here safely," he said. "And that you're having a good time." "I am," she said. "But there's something on your mind. Tonight is different, isn't it?" He nodded, though for a moment neither spoke. Overhead, lanterns swayed, and the soft notes of violin strings filled the warm night air. Before Claire could ask again, Nicky approached with her ever-gracious charm. "Kyle, Claire, there you are. I'm so glad you both made it." "What a night, Ms. Newman," Claire replied. "This is gorgeous." "It's going to be even better," Nicky said with that secretive sparkle that meant she knew more than she was letting on. "I always have a feeling when something momentous is about to occur." Claire glanced at Kyle, curious. "Oh," Kyle asked, tilting his head. Nicky winked, stepping away to greet more guests, leaving the two alone once again. "Momentous," Claire echoed. "That's quite the tease." Kyle chuckled, but then as the night deepened, his grin softened into something earnest, vulnerable. They wandered toward a quieter corner near the garden's rose trellis, away from music and chatter. Kyle took a breath, his heart pounding, palms slightly damp. All the rehearsed words he'd practiced for weeks now jumbled together, yet none of them mattered once he saw Claire standing before him, hopeful and calm. "Claire," he began, his voice a low whisper, "these past months with you have been transformative. You've brought laughter into my life, stability into my chaos, and something I didn't know I was still capable of feeling, real love." Claire's eyes glistened, a gentle smile lifting her lips. "I know our lives aren't simple, my family, your history, Newman drama, but with you it feels right. It feels like home." Kyle reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small box. Time seemed to slow. Claire gasped softly. "Kyle," she whispered. He dropped to one knee beneath the soft glow of lantern light. "Claire Grace, will you marry me?" For a heartbeat the world stood still. The string quartet paused mid-note somewhere in the distance. Even the fountains seemed to hush in reverence. Claire's breath caught, tears shimmering against her lashes. "Yes," she said. "Yes." The single word wrapped in tenderness, joy, and a rush of emotion that made her voice tremble. "Yes, Kyle, I will." Kyle smiled wider than she had ever seen, relief and love in equal measure. He slipped the ring onto her finger, a delicate band with a sparkling center stone that caught the light, and held it close, just like Claire seemed to hold his heart. They rose to embrace, laughter and a few happy tears mingling together. And then, as if on cue, Nikki appeared with champagne flutes. "Well," she said, barely containing her excitement. "We're engaged," Claire announced, laughter sprinkling like confetti in the night air. Nikki beamed. "I knew something momentous was happening tonight." Word spread quickly through the party. Guests gathered, offering hugs, congratulations, and sparkling toasts beneath the stars. Victoria hugged Claire with genuine warmth. Jack clapped Kyle on the back, a rare, proud smile on his face. Even Nikki's ex-husband, Victor, rounded the corner with a bemused expression. Stern at first, but softened as Claire approached, radiant in her new glow. "Congratulations," Victor said, his voice gruff but sincere. "Kyle, take good care of her." Kyle nodded, thankful for every challenge that had led them to this moment. Because life with Claire, even amid boardrooms, family feuds, and Newman complexities, felt like destiny unfolding beautifully. As the party swirled around them, laughter, champagne, cheers, Kyle and Claire stood hand in hand, savoring their first moments as fiancés. Under the twinkling garden lights, Kyle leaned close. "I've never been surer of anything in my life," he murmured to Claire. "And I can't wait to build our future." Claire rested her head on his shoulder, eyes shining with love and promise. "Neither can I," she whispered. And in that sparkling night, surrounded by family, laughter, and a summer breeze that seemed to carry its own kind of magic, it was clear that this was only the beginning of something beautiful.